it's a little bit more visible. Good evening, everybody. Hello, Bond fans. Welcome to this live vlog. It's a very quick vlog, very quick update. To those of you who know, I am a massive fan of the James Bond film series. Love the films, love them. And we've been waiting a long time since No Time to Die released in 2021. We have now lost Barbara and Michael G. Wilson, Barbara Broccoli. They have stepped down as producers. We now have David Heyman, Amy Pascal producing for Amazon, MGM. Amazon now have full creative control over Bond. But it has been officially announced now that we do have a director for Bond 26, and that is Denis Villeneuve. And I gotta say, I'm so fucking hyped. Bravo. Yes! That was literally my reaction as soon as I read the article and saw all of the news. I was like, yes! Denis Villeneuve is a director I am a fan of. I've not seen all of his work, but I have seen some of his recent work, like the Dune movies. God, the guy can craft a film. My God, he can craft a film. I mean, the Dune films are visually breathtaking. So we can expect Bond 26 to be an artistic piece of merit. I think something kind of akin to Skyfall, in that regard. And obviously the story might even be higher caliber than we have been used to. But he said something in an interview about we always need a Bond movie to cheer us up. So hopefully that means there's going to be some lighter stuff to expect as well. Some more lighthearted humor, which the Craig movies obviously did have as they went along. But I think maybe in a slight departure from Craig, it might go a little bit more humorous, which we'll see. But Denis Villeneuve is known for directing some darker films, so we'll see. There might well have to be a balance in tone there, but I am ecstatic about this. I am very confident that this is a good direction and that Amazon, MGM, and the producers, David Heyman and Amy Pascal, have thought about this, that we need a director of a high caliber to really launch this in a new direction. And I think Denis Villeneuve is a very good choice. He was someone who was on the cards for quite a while, almost in a kind of similar vein to Christopher Nolan, very good at telling dark, complex stories, although Nolan is good at telling complicated stories, as we've seen. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Denis' work. I'm not only the Dune films, but there's also Blade Runner 2049, which again, visually breathtaking. I mean, you couldn't see that in any other film. He's an auteur in that regard. He can create epics. He's very good at crafting epics. So I don't know how big this Bond film is going to be, but Bond 26, I can imagine, well, judging by Denis' other filmography, I would assume that it's going to be a 2.5-hour film. It's going to be quite a big, epic adventure. Whether it will be quite as emotional as No Time to Die, that remains to be seen. I don't know about that. We'll see. It also depends on who is cast as Bond. But now the wheels are in motion. I don't think it's going to be long before we actually hear who is playing Bond. So, yeah, he's obviously going to do Dune 3. I think he's filming that at the moment. So when that is done, he can probably jump straight onto this, which would be fantastic. So release date-wise, I think we could expect Bond 26 maybe as early as maybe Christmas next year, which would be fantastic, which would mean just over 5 years after No Time to Die. But who cares about gaps? As long as the film is good and really good, I don't care. It's launching a new era, so this is quite a pressure. He's not only got to direct the film and make the film competent on its own, he's got to launch a new era for a new actor as Bond, and that's going to be quite a challenge. But I think they've got a good crack team with them. And as for Denis' other work, not seen Prisoners, not seen Sicario. It's on my list now. I've got to watch those and review those. But I really like the Dune films. Part 2 in particular is fantastic, and it was quite possibly one of my favorite movies of last year. Not quite my very favorite, but one of my favorites. I mean, like I said, the guy can craft an epic. He can tell a good story and present it in visually stunning ways. I hope he brings his cinematographer with him, because seriously, without that cinematographer, the new Bond film ain't gonna look great. But yeah, I really appreciate the fact that they wanted to get someone who was higher caliber, who's very well regarded in the industry, who could tell breathtaking stories on an epic scale. And the Bond movies are big, and they're like nothing else. So I hope that whilst he embellishes in the traditions of with what Eon have done before with the first 25 films, he will have to take it in a new direction, and it is going to feel slightly different. But I don't want to lose any of the main traditions, like the title sequence, the song, the action, the women, the cars. There's got to be that. All of those fundamental ingredients have to be there for it to feel like James Bond. But story-wise, narratively, he can do something pretty impressive, as we've seen in the past. So maybe he will write, well, with the writers, he might write a script that is more complicated. Maybe some of those people that just like casual viewers who aren't as big a fans as me will be able to watch this, but may have to pay more attention to some of the plot details. Maybe something a bit more intriguing to get our teeth into. It might also be a case of current world affairs, like what they used to do with Craig's movies, where they looked at what was relevant in the time, what could they draw from to make a good story out of. I mean, the obvious choice is do a film about AI, which Mission Impossible just did. But I don't know if they're going to do that straight away, to be honest. It's anyone's guess at the moment. But yeah, with regards to like the recent Bond films, obviously we had like Spectre having the global surveillance story, like everything is everywhere, you're always being watched. That was a good basis for a plot. Whether you like Spectre or not, that was a good idea. And No Time to Die, ironically enough, even though we didn't know it was coming, the pandemic played some kind of role in that. The film was about a virus, a virus that was going to be launched globally. So, yeah, I don't know exactly what will happen. And I don't know if we're going to get another origin story. I would hope we're not. But it really just depends on what Denis wants to do. But I think he's intelligent enough to surprise us. I think we're going to be in for a treat, I'm very confident. Obviously, there are some drawbacks. Like, I mean, he does make his films very long. So if this film is going to be long, I hope the pacing is good. And I hope he's a director who can adapt to action directing. I haven't seen Sicario, I haven't seen Prisoners, but in regards to the Dune movies, there's a little bit of action, but there's not too much. And from what I've seen, the choreographically, the action is good. But how much of that Denis has directed, I don't know. But with Bond, it's very heavy on action. So for nothing else, even though a lot of the cast and crew from the Craig era are probably going to be, are done now, and they're not going to come back. I would at least love the stunt team to come back, like Glenn Powell, is that his name? Glenn Powell and his stunt team. I think that would be amazing to get them all back, to keep doing things for real, which I think Denis would be in favor for. I think he really would, given the way his films have turned out so far. I wouldn't be surprised. Henry Cavill. Yeah, I mean, if Henry Cavill gets cast as Bond, I won't complain. But I mean, who knows? That's the next bit of news that we really want to hear, is who is going to be James Bond. I hope they do a press conference like they have done in the past. Not that, well, the No Time to Die one was a bit crap, but like the ones like the Spectre and Skyfall, where Eon used to get a whole, like, the press together. There was a panel. They announced the title. They announced the cast. They announced the director. Obviously, we know some of this already, but just like they announce more details than what we've already got, and then they say, "Oh, we're going to start shooting soon, and this is what we're going to do." They obviously don't give away the plot, but they give you like a brief synopsis. So I really hope that we get something like that again, although more organized than the Jamaica one for No Time to Die, because that wasn't very good. Yeah, my family's fine. But this isn't about DreamWorks, so yeah, sorry, I'm not going to answer that now. Yeah, Arrival, that's another one. Yeah, I've not seen Arrival. I need to watch more of his movies. I've only seen a handful of Denis Villeneuve's films, but now there's every excuse to watch more. It's going to be a while before we get Bond 26 anyway. It's going to be at least probably another year, I would say. I mean, unless they're going to announce more details soon, but I would imagine they're in the stage of writing the script. So, yeah, pre-production script. Once they sort of finish pre-production, then I think we'll get the press conference or the big announcements. I don't know if it'll be a press conference, but I hope so. Or they'll just announce a shitload of stuff online. and then, yeah, but I like the event side of it. I really like the event aspect of that. And I hope they still film in Pinewood and the 007 stage. I'm sure they will. They'll have all that usual stuff for us to look forward to. But yeah, and if they play their cards right, this could be one of the best of the series. We'll see. But I'm so curious to see where it's going to go, and because it's a new actor taking the role as well, it's the uncertainty of what it will be like is all the more exciting and intriguing. As much as I love Daniel Craig as James Bond, he will always be my favorite James Bond. It's time for someone else, and it's time for a fresh face. This is going to be the most refreshing movie of the series since, well, Casino Royale. Really, it's going to be a massive reboot of the franchise, which I'm down for. I am totally excited for this. Now that we have a director, the wheels are in motion, and expect more news to come very soon. And as well as that, we've got the game coming as well, First Light. I know that's nothing to do with this film, but we've got some more Bond content coming. So, waiting sometimes pays off, folks. And I always am a firm believer that good things come to those who wait. And I think that since No Time to Die, yes, it's been a bumpy road. It's been very quiet on the news front. We haven't heard too much, but this year things have changed, and Bond is going to come back with a vengeance. It did say at the end of No Time to Die, James Bond will return. It's just going to come back with a different face. So yeah, I don't know why I pointed to myself there. I'm not James Bond. What am I doing? Oh yes, no, I love No Time to Die as well. I really loved it. I was initially skeptical about the ending before I saw the film. I heard rumors about what they were going to do, and I was very dubious. But in a way now, it actually makes a lot of sense. And the way, because one, Craig's Bond has retired so many times in his own era. If he retired in his last one, it wouldn't have had the impact. So they were brave to make that choice, and I applaud them for the bravery. Even if it wasn't going to work, I applaud them. But they genuinely humanized Daniel Craig's Bond, and that's his journey through his 5 films. It's actually kind of a self-contained era in that respect, in that each of his films, he gradually becomes more human. And then by the time we get to his last one, he's obviously got a family now. So he's kind of gone more domesticated. But his ending is powerful. And he died, well, I might as well spoil it. Spoilers for No Time to Die. He dies a hero, and he dies with his legacy intact. And the very last line of his era being, his name was Bond, James Bond. That's perfect. That's a perfect full circle way to end that. And that's what made me appreciate why they did it. I wasn't necessarily happy with the decision when I heard a rumor about it, but when I saw it, I was blown away by how emotional it was. It did bring me to tears, I must admit. And given that Craig's my favorite Bond, it was sad to see him go. It was appropriate. But now we can start a new timeline. So that, if you were divided about No Time to Die, fair enough. I respect your opinion, but honestly, it doesn't matter now. It doesn't matter. You can choose to love or hate No Time to Die, but this new film is going to start things again, a refresh, and probably, in a way, it was probably the perfect time for Barbara and Michael to step away. They've been with the series a long time. Yes, it's their family legacy. So on the one hand, it is a shame that they decided to let it go, but they can't do this forever. And they're not young anymore, bless them. So, and Amazon had already invested in the series anyway during the pandemic and with No Time to Die coming out as well. So I think I think I could see it coming. I could see the transition coming. But yeah, Denis Villeneuve, great choice. And if they can bag him for another film, that'd be fantastic. Because the guy will deliver. He'll deliver something good. His films are slow, but sometimes slow with a purpose. Sam Mendes. Yeah, Sam Mendes was a very artistic director as well. Whether you like or hate all of his films, he was a good choice for Bond. I mean, he directed Skyfall, and that was a 007 juggernaut as far as the box office is concerned. Then again, No Time to Die was quite long. Yeah, it was long. Yes, it was the longest film. I don't think the next one will be quite as long. Well, then again, I say that. Denis Villeneuve is known for making 2-hour, 50-minute movies. So it could be longer. But I think for the new guy's first film, I don't think it should be that much of an epic. I think 2.5 hours is probably what I would expect for a Bond film now, because it's sensational. The event side of it. You want to feel like the build-up was worth it and the wait was worth it. If it's paced really well, then it will be fantastic. But yes, I think it will be wise for the next guy's first movie to be around 2.5 hours. Because if there's backstory, if there's origins, then you can embed that within, and you have enough time to tell the story and flesh out Bond as a character, this new version of Bond. And then you've got time for big action sequences, spectacle, locations. You've got time to do things. I think a Bond film should be between 2.5 hours, personally. And like I said, because they come out so infrequently, it feels like more of an event. So we'll see how this one goes. Arrival. Yeah, I really need to see that. Yeah, the next James Bond. Oh gosh, that's been a question that's been asked ever since 2021. Ever since before then. Ever since we found out Daniel Craig was leaving, with No Time to Die being his last one, we've all been asking that question for years. I think, to be honest, I think we'll hear something in the next few months, probably. Odeon can show Goldeneye for the 30th anniversary. Yeah, that would be fantastic. They did show the Bond films again in 2022 for the 60th anniversary. They re-released them in Odeon, and they did them weekly. I think from April 2022, they did Dr. No, and then weekly. It was every week. I tried to go to as many as I could. I couldn't go to all of them, but I went to quite a few of them, and I was very thrilled that they were back on the big screen. So if they do that again before the release of Bond 26, I would be ecstatic. That would make my day, to be honest. Yes, exactly. Craig was lucky with certainly his last three films had really good cinematography. Not to say the first two he did weren't good, but Skyfall made a point of being more artistic and more colourful, more vibrant than its predecessors, and more lush. It just felt more. It looked absolutely stunning. It was beautiful, and with the locations he went to, it made sense. And Spectre took a bit more of a darker sort of sepia look, but I still thought it looked really good. And No Time to Die looks pretty fantastic as well. There's some fantastic cinematography in that film, certainly in the opening with Bond and Madeline and the sunset in Matera and the club in Jamaica. It's just, they've been beautifully shot. But Denis Villeneuve, watch the Dune movies, because if you haven't seen them, they look incredible. I don't think the first one is perfect. I think the second one is amazing. The first one is good, but together they form a really good, epic, complicated story. But visually, wow. So I couldn't be happier with this decision, to be honest. I have every faith. Obviously, we don't know what the film will be like. It could not turn out great, but I think we should be happy. I think we should be confident. I think even some of the naysayers of, the people that said, when Amazon took over the Bond franchise, people were like, "Oh, this is it. This is the end of James Bond. It's going to be totally exploited and it's going to be milked. Oh, it's going to be this and that and that." I think even some of them have turned around and are happy with Denis' appointment as director. So, yeah, that's kind of all I've got to say, really. I'll just read a few of the comments, and then I think we will call it there. The only other cinema movie I saw was No Time to Die in cinema. Yes, you missed out. Well, I saw Skyfall and Spectre on first release, as well as No Time to Die. I went back to see quite a lot of them on re-release. I think the only ones I haven't seen in the cinema are Thunderball. Yes, a Thunderball. I think You Only Live Twice I haven't seen on the big screen as well. For Your Eyes Only I haven't seen on the big screen. I've not seen a lot of the Brosnan movies on the big screen. I don't think I even saw Goldeneye again. I'm not sure. But if they do re-release them again, I'll gladly go and see them. I wish that the cinemas did like a James Bond month. You could just watch them in the cinema again. That'd be superb. And some of them I did go back to see in the cinema, like films like Octopussy, one of the older ones. They look great. In 4K as well, and they look like they've been shot yesterday. They look so good. And that's another point. Now that we know Bond 26 is in motion, things are moving. Amazon MGM might release a new box set. Hopefully a 4K box set of all 25 movies with the space for the 26th. This has been a tradition for quite a while. They've had, ever since Bond 50, when in 2012, they released the Blu-ray box set, which I've still got up there. You can't really see it, but it had Dr. No to Quantum of Solace, but it left a space for Skyfall, although I kept Skyfall in its case. And ever since, they've done, they did one for Spectre, where they released another box set. not quite as good as that box set. They had all 23 films, and they left a space for Spectre if you wanted to add it to the box set. So I don't know whether they'll do that again, but certainly I would imagine they'll release a full 25-film 4K collection of James Bond movies before Bond 26. I would hope so. Who knows? But it's about time they released on 4K. I know the Sean Connery films are coming to 4K, and obviously Craig's movies are already on 4K. As for the rest of them, who knows? But in the cinema, they looked fantastic. Yeah, Dune Messiah, I'm looking forward to that as well. I'll go and watch that as well as Bond 26. What would you say you're most looking forward to in the new Bond movie? Well, who the new Bond is, the new director, which is Denis Villeneuve, the story, like how it's going to reboot the series, because clearly No Time to Die was about as final as you can get for an ending and a farewell. They have no choice but to reboot the series. So starting a new timeline, I'm excited about that. What will change and what will stay the same? Because I imagine what will stay the same might be some of like real stunts, practical stuff, similar traditions to the other films. I hope we keep the song and title sequence, all those same traditions, Bond theme. But I do want it to feel like it's taking the franchise in a new direction. Not an easy thing to accomplish, but I think they've chosen a director with a lot of talent and a high caliber. So I'm willing to give it a shot. Blofeld backstory with Christoph Waltz. To be honest, no, I don't think that's necessary because, well, we got his backstory in Spectre, and a lot of people weren't happy with it. So I don't think anyone's interested in it, to be honest. But I mean, if they really wanted to, they could have showed flashbacks in Spectre with him and Bond as kids. I mean, we got the smudged photo that apparently was recovered from Skyfall. But we know that they were foster brothers. That Blofeld was basically jealous of Bond's attachment to his father. So that's all we need to know, really. But I do like Christoph Waltz's Blofeld. I'm glad he came back for No Time to Die. Yes, the one. Yeah. Yes, I think you're correct. It does need to stay in the spirit of Ian Fleming. Thank you for reminding me about that. Yes, as long as they honor Ian Fleming as well, that's great. And obviously the Broccoli's left a huge legacy with the first 25 films. It is time for a change of pace. It is time for something different. But like I said, I want those traditions to stay as much as any Bond fan. But as you say, Ian Fleming is the creator, and he deserves to be honored. And hopefully, he'd be happy with the direction it goes. We'll see. Spectre and No Time to Die are the only ones I saw in cinemas. Oh, fair enough. Yeah, especially as there were gaps between those two films. I still really like Spectre. I don't care what anyone says. I really like it. So yeah, that's kind of all I've got to say about this. Really excited, really happy for the choice. I think, Denis Villeneuve, David Heyman, Amy Pascal are going to be the new dream team behind Bond. Let's hope it works out. We shall see. I think there's obviously going to be some naysayers. You're going to divide people no matter what you do. It's just life. But I hope now that this means we're going to get some announcements about who the next Bond is and the sense of what we're going to get. Like, I really want that press conference announcement because that will solidify us in terms of where we are. And I think Amazon MGM are really now going full throttle with this. They're not wasting time with this. They want to get this on the ball now. So yeah, I'm excited. I think Fleming would have loved Craig. Yeah, I think he would have said Craig doesn't look like what he imagined. But I think character-wise, he would have said, yeah, this guy feels like what I wrote in the book. And I feel like that's what a lot of people think about Craig, that he doesn't look exactly how described, but he embodies a lot of the character. But again, obviously there are some naysayers who don't like him, and that's fair enough. That's to each their own. Every Bond actor and Bond movie is divisive, whichever way you look at it. No Time to Die was just particularly divisive because of the ending. But yeah. So yeah, now we wait. Now we wait to find out who will be the 007th James Bond in the official series of movies. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on Denis Villeneuve, and yeah, comment down below. let me know. And thank you for the comments in the chats. And I'll be back with more Bond 26 news yet to come. So until then, I'm Paycheck's Perspective. See ya. Bye for now.